So do you have a game plan to talk to your kids about pornography? Unfortunately, as a parent these days, it's a conversation that we've got to have. Today, I want to tell you about one resource that you can use to start that conversation with your kids. So, sad fact, to be a parent today in 2019, it is not a matter of if your children will see pornography. Really, it's a matter of when. There are a lot of arenas that they can get exposed to. And I want to share a story that happened to my family recently. So we were at a friend's house. Lots of kids were there. Lots of different families were there. And, we try to keep an eye on our kids, but obviously it's not possible to do at all times. And my daughter told me that one of the other girls who had an iPad walked over to her and said, "Hey, you want to see something scary?" And so thankfully she thought through that and she said, "Well, actually, no." But of course my son chimed in, "Sure, I'll see it." And my daughter then ran and got my wife and said, "Hey, she's trying to show us something scary on the iPad." I won't go into details about what the scary image that she wanted to show. However, that's a reality of what it's like to be a parent today with so many digital devices. It's one thing for you to control the devices in your home and the content that's coming to your home, but we know that our kids are going to be around other kids who have their own devices, and left to their own, pornography is something our children will be exposed to, whether it's at a friend's house and they get shown something, or they're on their own device and they accidentally stumble across pornography. 70% of kids today see pornography for the first time in their own home. And as bad as that is, it's actually a good statistic because you have the ability to control what comes into your home. So there's some great resources you can use to filter technology. I want to talk about how can we have this conversation with our kids. I want to tell you about a resource that's out there you can get on Amazon. It's called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. They've got a junior version, which is for the younger ages, and then they've got a second edition, which is for the older kids, 7 to 9 years old. And why do I think you should use a resource like this? Well, to not tell our kids about pornography, to me, I think it's kind of like letting them go out and play on a playground that has some mines out there. There are mines hidden around there, and you're just kind of hoping that they don't step on one and get hurt. And I know that's not a perfect analogy. Now, most parents don't want to have this conversation because it feels awkward. It's a difficult thing to bring up. And there's this fear here that you have that you'll spark curiosity with your kids. And so you don't want to spark curiosity and be the one that points them to go and search for this kind of stuff. But at the same time, there's a fear that they may stumble across this as well. Okay, so where did I hear about this resource? Well, I have seen it online a few times. I've heard some other parents talk about it, but recently I had a friend at my church who said, "Hey, would you read this and let me know what you think?" And her concern primarily was, is there theology in here that she needed to be aware of before she recommended it for parents? And so I would say this, I read through it first, then I went ahead and took my kids through it, and there really is no doctrine or theology. So if you're a particular denomination, you don't have to worry about reading this and having it be some doctrine from another denomination or anything like that. But what this does, it allows you to have conversations with your kids. Now, the younger you start these conversations, the less awkward it is. I think as parents, a lot of times we don't want to have this conversation because we're worried that it will be awkward. But if you wait until your kids have already been exposed to this stuff, they've already had conversations with their friends, maybe they've seen some movies that have some sexual content, at that point, to start the conversation is going to be awkward. So if you use some of these resources at a young age, your kids don't think anything of it. Hey, they're learning new stuff every day. So a tremendous resource. Now this older version has 9 chapters, and it took about 3 days for me to go through with my kids their discussion questions at the end of each chapter. Okay, so what does this contain? Well, primarily you just read it. It's a story about a mom sharing with her son about the issue of bad pictures. And first of all, it talks about addiction, and it breaks addiction down to our thinking brain and our feeling brain. And it talks about how our thinking brain makes rational, logical decisions and helps us to avoid things that are dangerous. But our feeling brain, the attraction center, can cause us to run to things that are dangerous. They use an example of ice cream truck, and your feeling brain says, "I really want ice cream," so you try to run across the street without letting your thinking brain say, "Hey, we need to look both sides so we don't get hit." And that's kind of the analogy that they use. And they're trying to do a great job of using some 2019 neuroscience on addiction to explain to kids, hey, this is some of the reasons this stuff is dangerous. But they talk about how pornography can be addicting. They do break down why pornography is bad, particularly because it will objectify people and it'll cause us to treat people like objects. And then they also break down how this can be, it's the type of thing that you're going to want more and more, can lead to an addiction and harm relationships that you have in everyday life. And then lastly, what this resource will provide is it actually gives your kid a game plan of how to respond should they be exposed to pornography. So it's kind of a step-by-step process. You can rehearse it with your kids, how they can respond. And so my kids enjoyed that, and it's something that they've thought through before. And the other conversation I tried to have with them was simply to say, you know, you can tell us if you see this stuff. We will not be mad at you. Even if you click that link, you can come and you can talk to us and you can tell us about those things. So we want to have an open conversation with them. The reality for parenting today is our kids are going to be exposed. I'm hopeful that can be a conversation we can continue to have, having the conversation early. I don't think this is going to spark curiosity for your kids in a negative way, but certainly what you would want to do is make sure on the technology that your kids have, that you have some either accountability or some filtering software that you use. You can use something like Disney Circle. We have that in our home. Or you also could use something like Covenant Eyes, which is another software that we have. All of our devices have Covenant Eyes on them as well. It can be super helpful as a parent to make sure that your technology in the home has some filtering and some protections there. So definitely recommend this resource. Check it out. You can get both of them on Amazon for $17. A great way for you to have that conversation with your kids. If this video is helpful, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment if you've got more questions about this particular resource. And this is Jason for Soulfire. I'll see you in the next one.